Let's go. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call. I'm an owner, not a GM. Yeah. Jones creeping to my DMs. Yeah. I represent freedom. Yeah. Hey, Steve, what rhymes with Latin Quarter? Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call.
My name is Fonte. Yeah. I got my moisturizer. Yeah. What time is it? Yeah. Grand Verbalizer.
Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call.
My name is Sugar.
Yeah.
Where's my per diem?
Yeah.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah.
You an asshole.
Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call.
I'm unpaid bill.
Yeah.
Your number one supporter.
Yeah.
It's time for Tales.
Yeah.
From
the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call.
It's Laia.
Yeah.
And it's so nice.
Yeah.
Been talking about the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
Finally, we got paradise.
Roll call. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call.
My name is Paradise.
Yeah.
I'm twice as nice.
Yeah.
Like skating on ice.
Yeah.
Can't say it twice.
Roll call. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call. Suprema, roll call. Tales from the Latin Quarter.
Been waiting for this.
Oh, man.
Man.
Glorious. Let's go.
We finally this is what they call the when you have like a
very
long,
special episode.
Well, yeah, no. But this is the longest stretch of finally getting to the tail ends of what this show has been about for the last 7 years?
Yeah.
Ooh,
7 years. Good luck.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
We've been talking about or joking about the Latin Quarter with every hip hop luminary that has made their mark in this culture in the late 80s, early 90s, and we've heard many a tale of the Latin Quarter. But as a walking Smithsonian pack ratter, pop culture hoarder, of course, you know that I easily got excited about doing this particular episode of Questlove Supreme because you can't have any Tales of the Latin Quarter without our guest today. And, for damn near 5 decades, our guest has been preserving, building, shape-shifting many a career in hip-hop. But more than that, he's embarking on what I would deem probably his most important project, which is proprietor of the Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Yeah.
And, not to mention he's an author. He currently your show about your collections in hip hop
Treasures,
on A&E.
baby.
Yes,
Yeah.
Hip Hop Treasures, which the fact that you just had the wherewithal to know that this stuff was going to be value speaks of your character. So without further ado, and also welcome to Team Supreme with us. Hello,
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
What up?
How you doing?
What up?
Hello, I'm Dave
yeah.
Bill.
I'm back.
You're back. Where you been, bro?
Sorry, went to get cigarettes.
Okay, nice. I'm glad you're back. No, for real. Welcome, Paradise Gray.
Yes.
To Claude Paradise Gray, the man that holds our history in his hands. To Questlove Supreme.
And glory.
So, sir, have you ever heard of the Latin Quarter? No, I'm playing. How are you today?
I'm absolutely fantabulous.
Okay. Well,
For real. This
we got
is a
blowtishes and
great
fantabulous.
pleasure
Thank you.
Thank you for being
You look amazing.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I let's just begin. Where does your hip hop journey start? Your very first moment in which you're meeting the elements of what hip hop is. I don't know if it's hearing Apache for the first time or
Well, I'll be
hearing music
quite
outside.
honest. My journey in hip hop started in my mother's living room. You know, my mom was a super mom. You know, she was the curator of all culture in our household. You didn't touch the TV knob unless she did it. You didn't listen to the radio unless she programmed it. She was my program director. And every Friday, she would come home from work and go to the record store around the corner from our house and come in the house with a fistful of brand new 45s. And she introduced me to James Brown, George Clinton, Sly and the Family Stone, The Last Poets, Gil Scott-Heron, Marvin Gaye, and goes on and on and on. And then she used to play those records and cook and clean the house while me, my brother, and sister sang and danced with her. And then every Saturday morning we would watch Soul Train. And after it went off, we would do our own Soul Train line in the house because we had all the records that they just had on TV already in the living room. So she prepared me to be a DJ and a selector. And the first 2 crates of records that I had when I started DJing in the streets, I took it from my mother's record collection, you know?
Really?
Yes.
What were those 2 records?
Well, 2 crates of
Oh, never mind. Okay.
What
Yeah.
were the names of all the records in those? two?
I mean, I had a lot of the break beats right from the door. You know what I mean? Because my mom, she listened to every genre of music. You know what I'm saying? So she prepared me well. So one day, growing up in the Bronx Dale projects, I was going to the store and I heard this music coming from beyond this door. There used to be a laundry room. But a DJ that lived in my building, his name was Disco King Mario.
Oh, Disco King Mario.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was another address that should be remembered with
Yes.
1520 Cedric and Cedar, 1715 Bruckner Boulevard in the Bronxdale projects. And I heard the music coming from the door. I cracked the door open, and there he was, Disco King Mario with 2 turntables and a Bozak mixer with a knob. And he was playing a song, I think, called Gotta Get a Nut.
Oh, by New Birth.
And, yep.
The infamous
Yes.
De La Soul, Can You Keep a Secret drum
Yes.
break.
And then
Right.
I was standing there with my jaw like, oh, wow, what is he doing to those records? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he was like, man, come in and close the door. I came in and I sat down and I was surrounded by stacks and crates and equipment and speakers and records. And, you know, he had a bad habit of when he DJ'd, he didn't put the record back in the cover. So his records was all over the place. They were dusty. And
Sounds
because
familiar, Amir.
Shut up, Steve.
so because my mother had conditioned me to wipe the records and put them back in the sleeve, I systematically started organizing Mario's records. I was 7 years old, and I wiped them all
He let you
clean
touch his records? Oh, I
They
grew
were
up in a you
all
better not touch my record.
over the floor.
Okay, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In horrible condition. And
I see.
I came in with the kit, you know, that had the alcohol in it. You remember that? With the velvet thing
Yeah,
that
right.
wiped the
Oh, yeah.
record.
The
So
brush, yeah.
he loved it. I organized his crates, and that began my journey as a real DJ.
I want to do a slight sidebar because, okay, so as a family, we've been together for 7 years, but I don't even know your actual journeys. If we can keep it under 3 minutes, like, what was your first hip hop moment, Fonte?
My first hip hop
That you
moment.
remember?
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like,
I would say my first hip hop moment was my uncle taking me to the Fresh Fest at the Greensboro Coliseum in like 80. This was 85, 86. I was like 6 years old.
did you
Ran
not hear
MC.
rap music before that?
Yeah, I heard rap music
Or
before
did it?
that.
Okay, so what was the most your first impactful, like me hearing Rapper's Delight was like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like,
I think probably the first, if we're talking just hearing the music, it really wasn't rap. I mean, it was like records like, Nucleus, Jam on It, and like,
Okay.
Which was rap.
it was those kind
Yeah,
of records.
okay.
Because my mother would take me with her to the park, and DJs would be out playing those records.
You know he should have went last, right?
But seeing it, and
This some bullshit.
but nah, seeing it, it was the Fresh Prince '85. Run DMC, Fat Boys, and Houdini, and that was it for me. It was done. I knew what I wanted to be.
All right, so Laia, you next.
You asked for that.
Now, first of
Listen.
all, were you in D.C. or were you in Philly?
I
Or
was
were
in
you in Atlanta?
D.C. That's where I was
Or
the first
LA?
15 years of my life. But I mean, I feel like mine is more disconnected through TV because I was babysat by the TV. So it was through movies. It was Beach Street. It was Breaking 1, Breaking 2, Breaking Book. I'm gonna tell my truth. Breaking Boogaloo was my shit, man.
Lecture 2.
I've
I
seen
don't
it
want to
too.
be judged. Okay.
We're not judging you.
Okay.
I saw that
judging.
movie 3 times when I went to the theater. All right, Steve.
Yeah.
Besides, smoking with Snoop Dogg at the studio.
Well, no, it goes further
Wait,
back.
did you once tell me you stole weed from Snoop?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Are you still smoking it right now?
I think I told that story when we interviewed Snoop. But
Really?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
But it was the Fat Boys and that first Run DMC album, Rockbox, but the thing was, I heard all this stuff at my Jewish summer camp where there were no black people, so I didn't know what was going on or what I was listening to necessarily. But then everything happened in, I guess, high school, breakdancing. I mean, you can tell me what year was that first Run DMC album?
83.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
wait, this is weird. I'm noticing now, and we should probably try to get Cool Rock Ski on the show.
Yes, sir.
That the Fat Boys is actually a lot of people's first introduction to hip hop, which is kind of crazy to me. But even Jay-Z said the very first hip hop tape he ever brought was the Fat Boys. So it's almost like, because hip hop was kind of contraband, again, my parents went through that.
Yep.
That Christian period, like, yeah, you ain't listening to that, whatever. But like they had no problems with me having the Fat Boys because
It
they
was
were too
musical.
funny.
It was funny, yeah.
They were too funny to be threatening, Whereas, all right, unpaid bill.
Yeah, I think the Fat Boys. I think Heavy D in the early days. And
Another
then,
fat boy.
And then fair.
Fat boy.
And then I came up in the fucking Vanilla Ice Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles era. But then
Ninja rap.
I did. But then I know it's hard to say out loud
No,
in this
listen,
fucking room.
listen, wait, time
Your
out.
entry point is your entry point.
I don't want to dismiss that because LL and I were talking about this on tour. Concerning Hammer and Vanilla Ice both selling 10 million units. Like between License to Ill, Hammer's second album, and Vanilla Ice, like those 3 records were the first 3 albums to sell more than 10 million units. And for a lot of people that are into hip hop now, like that was their Fat Boys
entry
tape,
point, yeah.
which then led them to everything else. So
Yep.
I can't even be dismissive. I mean, I don't like the magadness of
You want to
Vanilla
hear
Ice,
some
but-
craziness?
What?
X-Clan's first tour was with the Ghetto Boys and Vanilla Ice.
What?
How that work?
What was that like, man?
Didn't see that coming.
One day I was in my room. We would go on stage, rock and bounce, so we didn't know what was going on
Right.
with the other group. We know, Scarface and the Ghetto Boys was one of our favorites, but the first time I even heard the name, this beautiful girl was knocking on my hotel room after the show. I opened the door. I was like, wow. She was like, where's Vanilla Ice? I was like, I don't know, but chocolate is right here, baby. Like, what up?
Now I can use the booing thing. This is actually a subjective fact, if there's such a thing. In your opinion, when did hip hop start? Because I keep hearing from many a person that no, it wasn't August 1973. It was da-da-da-da-da.
Well, honestly,
Who's going to win this tug of war?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But I will be honest. August 11th, 1973 is an arbitrary date.
Okay.
But we had to say it started somewhere, but I believe that hip-hop started when the first man walked. Hip-hop started when the first person rapped. Hip-hop started when you know, all the elements were developed hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago by our ancestors. For us to say that we created hip-hop from nothing in the Bronx in 1973 is totally disrespectful to James Brown, George Clinton, Sly and the Family Stone, Pigmeat Malcolm, you know what I'm saying? It's disrespectful to Al-Hajj El-Malik El-Shabazz, to Muhammad Ali, to the Black Arts Movement, Amiri Baraka, Sonia Sanchez, you know, the Watts Prophets, the Last Poets, Gil Scott-Heron, you know, the Jubilaires, Pigmeat Malcolm.
Come on. History.
So can I ask you, so when I was a kid, and I was 8 years old when Rapper's Delight came out. And you know, for a lion's share of America, Rapper's Delight was, for a lot of us, our first hip-hop experience. We never heard of anything beforehand. Even though I lived next door to a DJ, so, you know, I would hear, like, Let's Dance to the Drummer's Beat, and he had, like, 2 turntables. But I thought he was a disco DJ.
Right.
Although he wasn't scratching.
Before 1983, every DJ was a disco DJ.
Okay.
If you was not a disco DJ in New York, you wasn't making no money.
Okay.
And hip-hop is the bastard child of disco, funk, R&B, gospel, jazz, and everything that came before it. But it's closest related to disco. Think about it. First rap record you said was important was what? Rapper's Delight. It was a sample, but it was a disco record. Good Times. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, every record that came out in 1979 was a disco record that people was rapping over, with the exception of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Freedom.
But rapping and Freedom.
Freedom
wasn't
super
the first.
rapping.
Right.
Right.
Even Super Doom. That all of those are disco beats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Rapping and Rocking the House. That was a disco beat. Or, you know, King Tim III. That was a straight disco record.
Right.
If you look at the video to the Sugarhill Gang and you turn the volume down, you would not believe they was rapping.
Right.
They got silk shirts on with big old collars. Right. You know what I'm saying? They wearing dress slacks and slippery bottom shoes. It wasn't no Adidas.
Right.
It wasn't no Pumas. It wasn't, you know, no Nikes, no Gazelles, no Kangos, none of that. If you went in a club, our elders was in the club with slippery bottom shoes, gaiters, jackets, and hats on. That was it.
So the question I'm asking you is that I'm under the impression that this culture got its name only because it's the very first 2 words that Wonder Mike says on the very first hip-hop record that anyone ever heard.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, because my parents used to always be like, hey, you better hip-hop your ass in bed. You better hip-hop them dishes. Hippity-hoppity hip-hop. And then
my dad used to do exactly the same thing.
Right. So what I was asking you was, were you guys even calling it hip-hop?
No.
Okay, I get it. So
no.
More than likely, the first 2 words. And that's the thing. Even I didn't know the song was called Rapper's Delight the first day I brought it.
It was hip hop.
I went to the store like, you got hip hop? He's like, and he hands me a roulette record.
What were they calling it then?
Yeah.
Well,
we was calling it jamming. We was, we gonna jam today. We gonna go out.
Well, even calling it rap music.
We didn't call it rap music either.
Well, because they called the song Rapper's Delight.
Right.
Then it's like...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Like, Rapper's Delight contains a lot of the elements that we still use now.
Yeah.
Like,
Ghost
the
writing.
boy band, ghostwriting, biting.
The label ripping off the artist.
Right, exactly. You said label
All the real
ripping off the artist.
hip hop shit.
Yeah. The foundations of hip hop.
But you know what, though? Sylvia Robinson does not get as much credit as she deserves.
Yes.
Nah,
She was the one that saw Hollywood and Lovebug Starsky in Harlem and said, yo, this is important. Mm-hmm. Do you know the little known fact? First of all, Sylvia was the first hip hop mogul.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Period. And second of all, she engineered the song and mixed it.
I heard she played bass on it.
She probably did.
I heard
she got so much skills and talents.
Yeah.
And are we to assume that her business acumen came from like the men and the people that came before her, the
No.
Motown, or did it?
Her business acumen came because she owned 7 labels.
Okay. I was just thinking in my mind. I was like, "There's a blueprint."
She ran with Morris Levy.
Right,
And
Joe.
if you know about Morris Levy was the Jewish Suge Knight. Wait, let me just say the word first. YouTube was like, huh? What? Yeah,
I heard Levy, and I was like,
All right.
Bill's too young. You got to hit Steve with that.
Yeah, Morris Levy owned, Roulette Records. Read the book Hitman.
Yeah,
Real gangster
Sorry
rap.
about all that stuff, you guys.
Yes.
Everybody you went to camp with.
So even when she ran her label in the 70s, all platinum records.
Yep.
Like that was a part of the
Exactly.
Even when I brought, like, the Sugarhill logo wasn't even invented yet. When I brought Rappers Delight, Rappers Delight was on an red orange label that looked just like Roulette Records. So even then, so for you, can you just describe as visually as you can what an average jam was like in the Bronx, like sound wise? Because we'll see, sort of like not revisioned, or like people will give their stories or tales of it, but I want to know. Like,
I have actual footage from 1983.
Really?
Of me and my crew, DJ Playboy, Paradise, and the Brothers 3, and my other rap group, the Throwdown 4, in 1983. And we're dancing, we're doing graffiti, and we're DJing and rapping. Four elements organically, without Beat Street, without Hollywood. And one of these days I'm going to screen the footage that we found and then interview. Almost every single one of my homies in video is still alive.
Wow, that's a miracle.
Yes, sir.
That is
But guess
amazing.
what? The miracle is called hip hop. Every single one of my homies that rap, dance, did graffiti, except a few, very few of us perished by natural causes or by murder. But the friends of mine from High Bridge who didn't rap and wasn't in hip hop, man, decimated.
Wow. So can you, is what you witnessed in terms of any park jams you went to, was that the only existence of that culture in that particular thing? Or
No.
on a Sunday, could there be 9 block parties happening? You just go to...
Well, the first block parties were live bands. We had a lot of live bands in High Bridge, which is where I moved after I moved from the Bronxdale projects. I lived less than a mile from 1520 Cedric and Cedar.
Okay.
And quite honestly, in the early years, there was a lot of other DJs that were rocking simultaneously with Kool Herc, and before Kool Herc, in my neighborhood, we had a DJ named Pete DJ Jones.
Oh yeah.
So
And-
can you explain who DJ Jones is for our audience?
Yeah, Pete DJ Jones was a mobile DJ. He was one of the top 2 mobile DJs in New York City, period. The other one was Grandmaster Flowers from Brooklyn, hip-hop's first Grandmaster. And a lot of people may say, well, I never heard of him. Yeah, right. I got 100 flyers with him on the same flyers with Herc and Flash and Bam and all of them, And he opened for James Brown as a DJ at Yankee Stadium in 1968.
Oh wow.
So, hip-hop just crushed August 11th in Yankee Stadium, but Yankee Stadium has deeper history in the Bronx, and there's a lot like a lot of people say, well, Pete DJ Jones, he was a disco DJ. Once again, we can't do that. He mentored Hollywood, Lovebug Starsky, Curtis Blow, and Grandmaster Flash. Get that man his hip-hop credentials.
Is he still with us today, or?
No, he passed away a few years ago, but there's some footage on YouTube with him still in it, speaking with his own words. He was an amazing DJ. He was great at mixing. He did not cut. He did not scratch. He didn't do any of that, but he played break beats too. And he ushered in Hollywood, Lovebug Starsky, Curtis Blow, and Grandmaster Flash.
I wanted to ask Paradise, how does a DJ, somebody like Larry Levan, how did someone like him that played at Paradise Garage, Was that in y'all's kind of radar at all
Nah.
around that time? It wasn't.
Well, it definitely was because we loved disco music and dance music. And actually, disco to us, that word is what stops a lot of people from understanding what we're talking about.
Okay.
Because when we say disco, it wasn't a genre of music. It was a place to be.
Discotheque.
It was a discotheque. It was the place where they played music at. And when we went to the clubs, the discotheques, they a shout to DC, we played go-go too in the beginning of hip-hop. And a lot of Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers and a lot of those EU and all of those guys, they contributed to the creation of hip-hop too. A lot of people from Philly contributed greatly to the creation of hip-hop, and they don't get the credit for it.
Lady B.
You know what I'm saying? The Juice Crew and Cold Chillin' Records that came out with Roxanne Shante, Bismarck, Big Daddy Kane, and the Juice Crew that we know, that started as pop art in Philly.
Right.
You understand?
Goodman Brothers.
Exactly. There's so, we migrated from the South, and we brought a lot of these things with us. There's a rap group that was a gospel group in the 20s and 30s named the Jubilaires, who rap with the same cadence as the Sugarhill Gang.
Yep.
So if we ignore our elders and ancestors and don't speak of their contributions, they taught us hip-hop. We learned hip-hop from our elders and ancestors. And if we eliminate them, then we got a right for young people today to not remember us or attribute our accomplishments to us. Because we disrespect our ancestors, we deserve to be disrespected too.
Steve?
So I'm trying to think of the proper way to ask this question, though. But is it because disco was the current music of the time? Is that why it became, let's say, the biggest fundamental part of the beginning of hip hop, or is it because disco is funky and
disco was music? That shit, man? Are you kidding? Come on, one of the biggest, greatest break beats in the world, Frisco Disco.
Frisco Disco, yeah.
Come on.
Right.
Come on, Bra.
Yeah,
Bra
Mona Lisa.
from
Yes, I know, bro. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, where would hip-hop be without the Isley Brothers? You know what I'm saying? Where would we be without Motown, Stax Volts? You know what I'm saying? McFadden and Whitehead. All of these guys were geniuses. We learned hip-hop from them. And we remixed it. We sampled it. Hip-hop is a sample of Afro-Indigenous culture worldwide. It's the best of everything that ever existed. If you make a beat that we like, we don't care if you're a corny white rock group with long hair. Walk this way. We didn't let it go that far. But we love, give me that. It's hip-hop now. Right. Hip-hop is a cultural and musical version of Star Trek's Borg. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
That's my shit. Picard. That's my shit.
That's a T-shirt.
Hell yeah. New generation and after. Yeah, hell yeah.
Damn, the things I learned about you, Laia.
This is
So
John
when do you say that hip hop started making its sort of its trek into nightclub culture, where it starts as block party culture and police athletically?
Well, that's where Kool Herc, the Zulu Nation, Grandmaster Flash, the L Brothers, Grand Wizard Theodore. That's where the Disco Twins come in. These guys took it to those places. You know what I'm saying? And we used disco records as breakbeats. Come on, where would hip-hop be without I want to thank you, Heavenly Father? You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was just some amazing music being made by some of the greatest cultural geniuses who ever lived. And we got to call them out and give them credit for what they created. Bob James, are you kidding me? Yeah. You know, we had amazing meters. You know, we had amazing teachers who taught us the beat. And thank God James Brown put it on the one, baby.
Can you talk about any historic first that you've seen in the first phase, pre Latin Quarter, of your hip hop experiences, as far as like shows are concerned, or nightclubs you've been to, or any of those things?
We hung out at the Fever, the Disco Fever, Harlem World, the Rennie, which was called the Renaissance, Harlem World.
Where was the Disco Fever?
The Fever was in the Bronx, right down the stairs, down the Joker stairs from my community, High Bridge.
Okay.
It was at around 167th Street, not far from Yankee Stadium, right by River Avenue, you know.
So that's where you had to go to hear those particular non-mainstream.
Well, if
disco
you was
stuff.
old enough to go there, we got everything we needed right in the street for free. You know, we
Speak on it.
there was the PAL, the Police Athletic League.
Denzel always talks about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of venues. We even had a disco called Burger King, which basically was a Burger King restaurant. At night, one of the brothers that worked there would move the tables and chairs, and we would charge 25 cents, and we would do hip-hop parties in Burger King.
And nobody would be the wiser?
Nah, he cleaned it up, and in the morning, you know, nobody knew anything about it. You know, we used schoolyards. We used talent shows. We was in the streets, you know. We did Cedar Park. You know, there was hundreds of parks all over the city, from Brooklyn to Queens to Manhattan to the Bronx, where, you know, DJs would just come, bring their equipment out, set up, and get it cracking.
And it's going back.
And it was illegal. Everything about hip hop was illegal. We stole most of our equipment in the first place.
The Blackout of '77.
We were stealing shit way before that, but
Okay.
that gave a lot of people who wasn't as bold or as good thieves like we was an opportunity. But you know, we brought our equipment out in the park, and we partied without a permit.
When you say we, were you associated with Black Spades, or like
I was a Baby Spade when I lived in the
So
Bronxdale
Can
project.
you explain the crew culture?
Well,
in the Bronx?
the Black Spades, a lot of people say they were a Black Spade, but the Black Spades is from the 60s.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the movie A Bronx Tale?
Oh yeah.
That was the story of the Black Spades and the Bronxdale projects.
Wait, so who were the black? Wait, who the
The
black
Black
Spades
Spades
that-
black kids?
that were mad at
They organized very similarly to the US group on the West Coast, and very similarly to the Black Panthers. It was out of necessity. The white kids used to live right above where we was in the suburbs. There was a couple of blocks that separated the projects from the suburbs. And the white kids were sons and nephews of Italian mobsters. And they wore the leather coats like Fonzie with the collars
greasers.
popped.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They had the grease hair back, and they had revolvers, chains, bats, and switchblades. And they would come down into our community and prey on us, beat us up and rob us and do whatever they wanted. So the Black Spades.
How come we never hear that
I
part of
have.
the
My
story?
dad is from New York, and he's about 10, 15 years your senior, and it was
Yep.
different for them because they used to throw bottles off the top of the buildings
Yep.
and hitting the kids on the ground. Like, he grew up in Manhattan, so it was, you know, it's just interesting to hear the Bronx versus what was going on in the other boroughs. But
So the Black Spades fought back against these white gangs and pushed their butts way up off us. And the crew got so big that it became the biggest black gang in the Bronx. In Brooklyn, they had the Jolly Stompers
Okay.
and the Tomahawks. And they were represented by the black gang in the movie The Warriors.
Okay.
That group at the end,
Yeah.
that was the Tomahawks and Jolly Stompers, which later were organized into a black movement by my elder Sonny Carson in Brooklyn.
So when you're to your knowledge, because to my ears, when I'm listening to Just Ice doing Going Way Back, or listening to KRS-One do the roll call of like with the South Bronx, like all the names and all those
MC
things.
Shan, who did the roll call from Queens.
Well, that's what I was going to ask
bridge. You know what?
What I was going to ask you is, do the other boroughs have their own tales?
Hell to the yeah.
That just didn't have good marketers as the Bronx did.
Exactly.
So who was first? Like
chicken or the egg?
Well, I'm asking, like, you know, because I hear of Queens having a history that we don't hear about. I don't know much about Brooklyn's history. I know about Grandmaster Flowers, but
Maboya, and there was a bunch of them. And there's a DJ that moved from Brooklyn who used to DJ with Flowers to the Bronxdale Projects, who actually predated Mario even. But he wasn't a cutter or scratcher either. But they played breakbeats and they blended and they did the things that were the predecessor. The DJ culture is the foundation and the predecessor of hip hop and rap music. And we really have to really do a better job of shouting these people out and researching. Me and my partner, Prime Minister Pete Knights from Third Base, my co-curator at the Hip Hop Museum, we found the earliest flyer that we could find with the words hip hop on the flyer. And the flyer was from 1979. And it was from Brooklyn.
man.
Oh, great.
So, you see what I'm saying? So
Another battery and they back.
Exactly. So
I see now.
There was many DJs, including Eli Tubo, the great legendary hip hop producer that produced Eric B. and Rakim. And engineered those sessions. You know, he was a popular DJ in Queens. Russell Simmons was a popular DJ in Queens.
He actually knew how to DJ?
Yeah, he wasn't cutting and scratching, but they were Ralph McDaniels.
Oh, yeah.
From Video Music Box. Very popular DJ from Queens.
Was Hollywood's Terrain in a nightclub only, or was he also a street DJ? And is there a difference between street block party culture versus nightclub culture? Is there?
Yeah, most of the time, street DJs didn't make no money. Okay. We did it for the popularity, for the culture, for the love, you know. But we spent way more money than we made, you know, buying big speakers and records and turntables. That was crazy expensive on young people. That's why I was telling you it was illegal. You know, those that didn't steal, we pieced our sound system together. I had one turntable, he got one turntable, he got a mixer, he got some records, this guy got a speaker, somebody else had the power amp. So we would form Voltron to even create hip-hop.
How are those speakers being built? Do you have any knowledge of, like, is it as loud or as
in Queens?
Because I hear Herc's speakers were.
Yes, Herc had some monster speakers.
Okay.
And he was running through people in the Bronx until he ran into Breakout and Barron.
Oh, really?
With the mighty Sasquatch sound system. So Herc was killing them with the Herculoid sound system, and then he ran into the mighty Sasquatch.
So the louder your system, the louder your bass, that like you would win.
I'll tell you why. There was a DJ by the name of DJ Smoke or DJ Smokey in the Bronx, not far from where Herc was, who was DJing and popular at the same time Herc was. He played break beats, and he had his version of B-Boys, which were called Smokatrons. Had DJ Smokey been able to defeat Herc, we would be calling B-Boys and breakdancers Smokatrons today. Because it was the same thing, right? But every time Smokey battled Herc on numerous occasions, he lost every time. Because every time he'd set up his equipment, Herc would turn the knobs on him and blow him out. You couldn't even hear him.
So what constitutes a battle? Like, do you guys choose a ground, and then this guy sets up his speakers over there, this guy sets speakers over there? Is it Jamaican style? Is it like 5 minutes you, 5? Nah, is there a referee in the middle?
It depends. It just depends. Like, Herc and them, they ain't have no rules. You be in the park jamming, and they come and they set up their shit right across from you.
Oh, and disrespect you.
They just turn the knobs up, and you can't even hear your headphones. Wow. Then you got to pack your shit and leave.
I love it.
So that's how it is. Like
with your tail between your legs. Yes.
Oh, so that's what you mean by battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but then when Herc started battling Grandmaster Flash, Flash had a great sound system too. Plus, he was a way better DJ. So Herc had to recruit one of my favorite mentors and DJs of all time, the Grand Imperial DJ JC, which most people never heard of.
Never heard of.
Because he left the Bronx and moved to Yonkers at an early age. But him and Grand Mixer DXT were the two best DJs back in the day, period. Hands down, no question.
That was literally going to be my next questions. Like,
you know why?
What?
Because they're related to you.
What do you mean?
They were both drummers.
Oh.
For live bands.
My dad has some more kids off the books. I'm like, wait a minute, Daddy, no!
They were both
like
live
Ancestry.com.
drummers, and they had that hand-eye coordination and dexterity that nobody else had.
Well, I
You
was
know?
going to ask you, was DST a real Bronx approved
Yes. He
member?
was from
Like,
the Eatawall Projects.
Okay.
And then he moved from the Bronx up to Yonkers also. And that's why, he didn't have a popular set of rappers. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have, Grandmaster Caz or Grandmaster Melle Mel or, Raheem or, you know what I'm saying? Because he moved to Yonkers, he didn't get that eyeballs and that publicity. But he was doing the same thing that we were doing in the Bronx, up in Yonkers, incredibly.
Okay. I guess I want to push up the
Timeline.
the timeline up. Can you talk about your relationship with I'm about to say Lou Adler, Lou Waters, the owner of the infamous Latin Quarter nightclub? How did you, by that point, how did you bring your vision and mission to the Latin Quarter nightclub?
First of all, I never met Lou Walters.
Oh, really?
Barbara Walters'
Well,
father.
okay.
Right.
I know he owned the spot, so I didn't know.
Right. But the guy that bought it off of the people that bought it off of them
Okay.
is my people.
Okay.
I first went to Latin Quarters with the Awesome Two, DJ Teddy Ted and Special K. Yeah. And actually, Donald B. The Awesome Two was Special K and Donald B. with DJ Teddy Ted.
Okay.
So they were on WHBI, the same radio station made popular by the Supreme team, and Sir Juice, Mr. Magic. And they would have a show that they played rap music Saturday nights, 4 o'clock in the morning. And they would play anything, demos, mixtapes, they didn't care. If you send it to them, they would play it. So I went down, I was promoting records at the time. I was working with Russell Simmons and Rush Productions and early Def Jam, and I would promote records, and I would listen to their radio show, and they wasn't playing the stuff that I was promoting. So I was called a request line over and over trying to get them to answer, and they never answered the request line. Mm-hmm. So me being me, I got on the train and went up there, knocked on the door, introduced myself, and I said, why don't y'all answer the request line? They said, oh, well, because we ain't got nobody to do it. I rolled my sleeves up, went and sat down and said, you do now.
Yeah, it is.
They said, you do now.
You organized their records off the floor?
No, but I organized.
No, I know.
I organized the calls, the people who were calling in.
Right.
And what we did was we were able to filter out all the horrible stuff that they was playing and started playing the most requested stuff. But anyway, they got a gig working at the Latin Quarters on Tuesday nights, and they called it Celebrity Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. And they invited me to come to the club to be a judge. It was like Showtime at the Apollo for rappers. You know, you get stuff thrown at you, you get booed. Right on stage, you get a bottle, like KRS-One said.
So, but the thing is like, how open is the establishment to this culture coming into play? Because
well, a very interesting and wonderful Jewish man bought the Latin Quarter.
Okay.
His name was Mike Goldberg, and he was a hustler. You know what I'm saying?
All right, go say it, Steve.
Mike.
Sorry, everybody.
Mike Goldberg. But the Latin Quarter was Mike Goldberg's train set.
Okay.
It was his plaything, his playground. You know, he was a multi-millionaire that managed the magician David Copperfield, who was making $20 million a year on Vegas alone.
So this is just a side thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a side thing. And Mike would just be all up in it. He would go stand in front of the box office and collect the money himself. Don't even let you put it in there to the lady. He's standing there and give me, you know, and he'd have fistful of money.
Sorry, everybody.
And he just had so much fun doing it. You know what I'm saying? So one night I decided, like, the Celebrity Tuesdays that the Awesome 2 was doing was cool, but it wasn't packing the club. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was nothing like what was going on at the club on Fridays and Saturdays. So we used to go to 42nd Street to the Kung Fu house called Cine 42nd. And we used to get 3 Kung Fu movies for $5. You know, and you get like 3 movies, popcorn, hot dog, and a drink, $10. You know, so we all hung out down there watching Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, you know, the Shaw Brothers movies. And that's why hip-hop became so synonymous with Kung Fu movies in those early days, because it was all concentrated right there. So I come out the Kung Fu movie, and I said, let me see what's going on at the club, because I never been there on a Friday or Saturday. So I go to the club. There's a Jamaican after-work dance party. Mm-hmm. And it's so packed that you can't even walk around in the club. And the floor was undulating with sex and bass. The bass was turned up so much
Sex and
that
bass.
if you stood on the dance floor, you would probably be dancing without moving.
I love it.
It was just undulating. It was like watching The Matrix, you know, that scene in Zion at the end. That's what it looked like to me. I was like, there's no place in hip-hop that you can go and have this experience where everybody's on the dance floor and all the dudes are dancing with women. You know? So it gave me the idea, epiphany, that this could be an actual hip-hop dance club. And, you know, we were going to those clubs, and my man was talking about Larry Levon and those DJs and stuff. There was another movement of freestyle dancing that was going on in New York at the time, around 85, 86. People wasn't break dancing in New York no more. All the Rocksteady crew, the Dynamic Breakers, all those dudes was on tour in Europe, China, Japan. They was rocking over there, but nobody was in the club b-boying no more in 1985, 86. So the new style was the style that they was doing, dancing to disco and dancing to club music. They went back in time to when the Latin Quarter was the Cotton Club. And they borrowed the old dancers from Sammy Davis Jr., the Nicholas Brothers, and Cab Calloway. And they modernized those dances and danced hip-hop with it. If you look at the way Salt and Pepper danced, or if you look at EPMDs, you got the Chill video. You know, if you look at Big Daddy Kane and see Scoob and Scrap. You know what I mean? You look at Houdini and you see Dr. Ice and the Kango Kid and the young Jermaine Dupri. Those were the dances that were being done in the Latin Quarter. The ghost of the Cotton Club was reborn in the dancing at Latin Quarters. And we had a group called the IOU Dancers and the JAC Dancers. And the JAC Dancers was Buddha Stretch, who went from dancing at the Latin Quarter to choreographing Michael Jackson's Remember the Time video and being the lead dancer in that video. You know, because those doing that Egyptian style, all those interesting dance styles were coming out of the Latin Quarter, you know? So 15-year-old Queen Latifah was working at Burger King in New Jersey when she decided to go to the Latin Quarter to do dancing, and she saw MC Light perform. It was like, oh my God, I want to do that. So that's how the club was.
When do you mark the grand opening of the Latin Quarter?
Well, in my era,
Date-wise.
the one that I did,
Right.
that's called, that made it be renamed.
Yeah, let me
Golden
stop
Era
calling it
Hip
the Latin. I know it's a history. I just meant like the name
Yeah.
of your parties was called.
Hop. It was the Latin, the
Okay.
LQ. Latin
Well, I'll just say
Quarter.
the LQ. When do
Yeah.
you consider the LQ period of the Latin
I
Quarter?
say no tricks in '86. It's time to build, because by '86, rap music had blown up internationally, and if you went to the Latin Quarter on a weekend, Curtis Blow, Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Houdini, all of them would be hanging out there because they were my friends. And I would let them in free and give them drink tickets. So all the hip hop would convene there. But I couldn't put Melle Mel on stage to do a show. He would get on stage.
Even though, you're right.
He would get on stage and do a little impromptu stuff. And he was actually the catalyst that helped turn it into the golden era of hip hop, because he was the filter. You know?
if these legends, and I mean, I understand that, one, you're here also to represent the opening of a museum, which is like, hey, preserve the culture. But I mean, even you have to admit that hip hop is very big on this sort of disposable adult culture, and like the youth run it. And once you hit a certain age, then it's like, all right, well, that was then. But
Well, that's because of the record labels, man, and the music industry. When black artists in hip hop get older, you gotta pay them. They know the game. They're not 17, 18 years old. You're not gonna just run some bull crap contract on them no more.
damn.
So
I
we
didn't even
became,
think of that.
yeah, it was all economics. They like, you know what, y'all old. We're not paying y'all. Kick rocks, and kind of the way that I really transformed hip hop at the Latin Quarter was for the same reasons. It was economics. I had Melle Mel, Houdini, Run DMC in the club, but I couldn't put them on stage.
So I'm asking if Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five wanted to perform at the Latin Quarter.
I would have gave them the stage. Great, gladly passed them the mic.
Okay.
You
But
know
then
what I'm
been like,
saying?
no, you got to pay us
but they
10,000.
like,
I get it.
They getting arena money now.
Okay.
They ain't want no club money no more. You know what I'm saying? So I put Biz Markie on stage, Roxanne Shante, MC Shan, Big Daddy Kane, Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, EPMD, Eric Van Rakim, Stetsasonic, Just Ice, KRS-One. They was all hungry,
Okay.
and they didn't have record deals. You rocked the Latin Quarter on a Friday or Saturday, you had a record deal Monday morning.
Shit.
Not the A&Rs was in the crowd. Russell Simmons is in the crowd. Tom Silverman is in the crowd. Fred Maneo is in the crowd. Aaron Fuchs is in the crowd. They knew where the bread was buttered, and they knew that if they did not show up, that they were going to miss out on the next big hit.
Okay, without the threat of getting hit with a lawsuit anytime I mention these two names, can you clarify to me what exactly is Aaron Fuchs' role in hip hop? Because I know of him only when I see a litigious situation happening.
Right. Well,
with sampling. But what was
owned Tough City Records. He was an independent record owner. At the time when we started Latin Quarters, the majors hadn't come in and dominated and buy out all the independent labels.
Right.
But because all these new artists were emerging every week, the majors was getting wiped out. And they said, you know what? We better get in this game. So you had Jive, RCA, Fourth and Broadway, Columbia, start to actually recruit and sign these artists. And we replaced a whole generation of artists because of economics and sound. The new artists at Latin Quarters, they started making hip-hop dance music. And if Red Alert, who was my DJ on Friday nights, or Chuck Chillout, who was my DJ on Saturday nights, if they played your music in the Latin Quarter and the IOU and JAC dancers didn't rush the dance floor and start tearing it up, you might not hear your record again. So people changed the sound. They made it more up-tempo. We went a little more James Brown heavy, a lot more boom bap. And you know, a lot of new artists started emerging.
Okay, so we also live in a time now. Now we live in a time where it's really hard to break a new artist out. Like, you know, as a DJ, I'll play, if I think something is dope, I'm going to play it. And you'll clearly see an energy shift where it's like, I don't know this song, so let me go to the bathroom or whatever. And then it'll wind up being a hit later, you know.
Yep.
Once it goes through the system, if they pay for it to go through the system. But,
Right.
you know, to hear me tell it, a lot of what we consider just the classic bread and butter, basic food groups of hip hop nightly are just getting debuted. Like, play Top Billing for the first time and the audience is going crazy.
Which I did.
How okay, so how are you telling me that a Def Jam rep can go up to the booth to Red Alert
And hand them their
and
record.
be like, hey, rock this joint? Like, there's no, because people do that to me a lot. Thank God for like the system of Serato now, where it's like, you know, I'm on my hard drive, I'm like, I can't immediately play it. I don't like
Right.
playing something unless I hear it first.
Right. Well, we had a great sound system in the DJ booth, and you could bang something and listen to it in the DJ booth without playing it out to the house.
To the house.
But what I mean more or less is like,
It
that's
depends
kind of
on who
putting
you
you on
are.
a spot,
If
though,
Run
right?
DMC walks in the club and say, "Yo, this our new shit," you know,
Then you're gonna give it a
yeah.
chance.
But if MC Butterbutt
Right.
come in with a record, you're like, "Oh, whatever, man." I
Okay,
ain't
so do
playing that.
you know who Audio 2 is?
I did.
Or is it...
I hated the Audio 2 at the time, but I
Okay.
loved them as human beings, as people. But they had horrible music. I like Cherries.
I was gonna say,
that
I was
was
gonna
horrible.
say,
But let me
I
tell you
Like
this-
Cherries was the A side, Top Billing was the
Top
B
Billing-
side.
No. The A side was Make It
Funky.
That was produced by Daddy.
Right, okay.
You know, and the B side was Top Billing, and it was only like about 2 minutes in the beginning, right? So what happened was Nat Robinson, Milk's dad, who owned First Priority Music record label, he had every DJ in New York playing Make It Funky, except one, Kool DJ Red Alert.
Okay.
And my partner, rest in peace to Robert Lumumba Carson, a.k.a. Professor X, he was Nat Robinson's good friend for years and years. So he would always come and be like, "Paradise, please get Red to play that record, man. Red got to play it, you know?
Right.
You know, they're right there. They're almost there. They just need Red Alert." And I wasn't feeling Milk and Kids myself, so I wasn't pushing Red. I do not ask Red Alert to play anything because you will get embarrassed. Red Alert is unbuyable.
I was just about to ask that. That
You
was literally
cannot
my next
offer
question.
Red Alert
Okay.
no drugs, no women, no money. Red Alert had the most integrity.
But if he
Impressive.
said no,
No, it
if he
meant
said
no.
no, are you right?
So
but we
check
kind
it.
of live in an era now
So
where
check it though.
okay,
He don't care. He wouldn't play Bambaata's record, and he was a Zulu.
okay,
If he wasn't feeling it, he ain't playing it. You know what I mean? No matter how much peer pressure comes. So Nat Robinson came one day and he was like, "Paradise, please get Red to play it, man. We got these people listening for it, you know, and it'll take us over the hump, please." I was like, I took the record in the DJ booth before Red Alert got to the club. And I was just dropping the needle all over the record. Like, there gotta be something that's playable on this. And I flipped it over to the B side, and I couldn't believe my ears. I was like, "Oh my God, this is dope." So I
your
gave
initial thing was it's dope.
it's dope.
Okay, wait, time out. Pause the thing. Now, when I heard it, it was such an unorthodox song. Lady B premiered it in Philadelphia. So I'm certain whatever Red Alert was doing, she co-signed it next. It is an unusual song.
Yes, it is. That's why I
How
loved
did you
it.
see the light?
You know what made me love that song, Milk is Chillin'?
What?
Spending uncounted hours in the studio with Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin, if you look at the early records that he produced, it doesn't say produced by Rick Rubin.
Reduced.
It says reduced by Rick Rubin.
Right.
And Milk is Chillin' was bare bones, raw, uncut hip hop that I was used to from being a street DJ in the Bronx. That it reminded me of a street jam. And somebody put a beat on, and somebody miscellaneous MC came running out the crowd and put it down on the mic. It was so catchy and so sing-songy. I knew it was a hit the first time I heard it. So I gave it to my house DJ, DJ Roman. He played it about 5 or 6 times before Red Alert even got to the club. On the Latin Quarter sound system, that beat hit so hard, right? So Red Alert shows up after coming off of Kiss FM. He's headed for the DJ booth. I'm like ecstatic. I go running over to him with 2 copies of this record. And I'm like, yo, Red, yo, you got to check this out. And he snatched it out of my hand and threw it across the room. And it smashed on the wall. He was like, yo, this shit is a Frisbee. I wish y'all would stop coming at me with these Frisbees, man. I told y'all I'm not playing it. I don't like it. I was like, Red, why you do me like that, man? I was like, did I ever tell you to play something that's whack? He was like, no, but I don't like that. I said, you ain't even hear it yet. So when he went to go to the DJ booth, I beat him to the booth, and I made sure that the last thing that played
was Top Billing.
I put it on, and he walked in the booth, and the crowd was going bananas. They was bouncing all over the place to it. And I walked away, and I said, yo, that's yours. And, you know, I tell the story that after that, Red started banging it. It was a big hit. Milk tells the story, yo, Dice, he still hates it. He still don't play it. He might have played it a couple times for you after that, but he still hates us.
Still?
Yep, that's
He
what
felt
Milk
that way.
says.
All right, so the question I want to ask you is, what does this sound represent?
Go Stetsa by Stetsasonic.
Oh, yeah.
But what does it represent?
In the Latin Quarter.
Yes.
That's the Latin Quarter. That was the Latin Quarter anthem. Stetsasonic.
But
and-
explain to our listeners what happens when that when this
Well, you heard the drum beat.
when
but
this comes on.
see,
What does that mean for
that
an
it starts different
out-of-towners?
than it used to start too. You know, it used to start, go Brooklyn, go Brooklyn,
Well, the beat-
go
right,
Brooklyn, and it was a signal for 50 Cent and the Brooklyn crew to go wild and start snatching chains and going wild in the club. It
Which
was like,
leads to my next question. And we've had every luminary of the Latin Quarter, from Special Ed to like literally everyone's come on the show, and I asked them the same thing. Knowing the likelihood of
why did they play it?
knowing the likelihood of something about to break out, a punch, a snatch, chains, chaos. Why would you risk your life for the love of hip hop? Why would you risk your life for the?
And go there?
Yes.
Because if you didn't go there, you was a punk. Dude, let me explain something to you. First of all,
Listen.
the Latin Quarter was all about location, location, location. It was right in the middle of Times Square, bro. Like, right in the middle. 48th and Broadway, 48th Street between Broadway and 7th Avenue. Okay, this building is where the ball drops, right? Then you got a big empty space where they fill up during New Year's, right? Then there was another building that had the Coca-Cola bottle on it. The Latin Quarter was in that building.
Okay.
It was right in the middle of Times Square. The busiest place in New York City, bar none, right? But what was about Times Square? Times Square was all about sex, drugs, and violence. The American dream. As American as apple and cherry pie.
Okay.
If people don't understand nothing else, they understand sex, drugs, and violence. Sure. Let me tell you what I did at Latin Quarters. Okay, you have, in 1 hour, you have more traffic pass by our club than anywhere in the world, right? So I took advantage of that. I used to advertise ladies free before 11, right? And then I would make the ladies line go slow as hell. I would open the ladies line at 10 to 11. So every male driving by Times Square
See a bunch of women.
Girls
sees
outside.
a line of women going all the way around the block trying to get in free. And then I cheated again. I would walk that line, and all the most beautiful women and all the women who had the least clothes on, I would bring them to the front of the line.
That's how this started.
I love this guy, man.
So next week, every chick in that line looked like Vanity 6.
Okay. Okay.
And everybody driving like, skirt! Oh, yo, I don't know where y'all going tonight, but I'm going there.
Who was your closest competition during this period between when's the Latin
In the
Quarter
beginning.
bracket? 85 to
Really?
88?
You want to hear some crazy stuff?
Okay.
The real run of Latin Quarter that I had was 86 to 88.
2 years?
It was 2.5 years. In 2.5 years,
That much
we
impact?
incubated the golden era of hip hop. It seemed like it was 15 years.
I thought it was
but
at
it
least
wasn't.
7 to 8
No.
years.
There was
Those don't last.
the Africa, Islam, and other people would do shows at Latin Quarters, but it was not a hip hop club. The Latin Quarters was the first and only legitimate hip hop dance club. Our competition that opened a few months after us was Union Square. And they had Red Alert before I did. Well, Red worked with me a little bit, but he worked at Union Square. He helped make that pop. But the difference was it was 14th Street, which is closer to Brooklyn.
Curious.
So-
I'm curious. As a working class DJ of Red Alert's ilk or whatever, what is the going rate to hire Red Alert to be your Friday night DJ? And how long is he spinning for?
Red Alert used to come directly off of the air at KISS on Friday night and go directly to the Latin Quarter. And he would DJ for maybe, he would get to the club around 12 midnight, like about 15 after 12, and he would DJ as much as he want. I had like 4, 5 house DJs that also DJ'd there. So whenever Red took a break, you know, the party kept going. But I don't know if I want to divulge Red's pay at this time.
well,
but
I
it was
just meant,
put it this way: it was
if you were hiring,
it was the top of the game for the time.
okay.
Him
Well, I
and
just
Chuck
want to
Chill
know:
Out.
can you make a real living? Can
Yeah,
you make
yeah.
a 4-figure living
Oh, yeah.
or a high 3?
I don't know about
He ain't taking no payola. That's no
No.
money on the side.
Okay.
Nah, but he already had a job at KISS FM.
On the radio.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
he
we
was the
now
top
live in-
DJ on the radio.
We now live in an era where a Diplo or Skrillex makes 2.5 million,
Tell me about it.
or you know, in the case of Pretty Lights, makes at least.
He don't make that every week.
These all white men?
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
Got it.
Lights.
Yeah,
Pretty Lights only spends 10 times a year.
See what I'm
And
saying?
He must meet his price,
Exactly.
or else he ain't coming. So thus he.
Right.
I mean, it's a
Get
business.
That whole
Well, remember,
dollar.
we was struggling to exist back in these days. Remember, hip hop, we was being dissed left and right.
Right.
You know, by our elders, Branford and Winford Marsalis and James M. Toomey and Larry Blackman from Cameo. They were talking mad shit about hip hop.
Damn,
They was haters. Yeah, but James M. Toomey wound up being one of my best friends because my elder Edwin Birdsong brought us together, and I had a few conversations with James, and he understood what we were trying to do, and he started advising us and supporting us. But the biggest supporter that saved hip hop was none other than Elder Harry Belafonte, rest in peace, Mr. B.
Talk about it. Educate real quick, please.
Harry Belafonte produced Beat Street when all the other elders were shitting on us. Radio stations had taglines like, no rap, no rap, no rap.
They did, yes.
and they would play our instrumentals and not play our vocals. Yeah. They were totally dissing us. We're not real musicians. We just steal their shit. You know, we don't sing. You know, all we do is that dibbit. When y'all gonna sing? You know, we were so disrespected.
Can you talk about what are your top 5 live performance moments at the Latin Quarter?
Wow, that's hard. Top 5.
No particular order.
Roxanne Shante, Biz Markie, and Big Daddy Kane.
Okay.
And then later, Big Daddy Kane on his own. I named my book No Half Steppin' because Big Daddy Kane was the epitome of the Latin Quarter.
What was it about him?
He had everything. He had the jewelry. He had the haircut. He had the look, the dance, the voice, the lyrical dexterity, and he had Marley Marl's beats. Unfuckwittable. Big Daddy Kane was nothing to mess with. You could not follow him at Latin Quarters.
Was he feared or respected? In other words, if you're like watching the show, I'm assuming you're watching from the booth or whatever. I don't even know what the stage outlay is.
Put it this way: KRS-One dissed everybody. He dissed the Juice Crew, but he did not diss Big Daddy Kane.
Facts.
And Big Daddy Kane wrote some of Shantae's diss records against KRS-One.
Interesting.
But it was the Latin Quarter family. You know, they had become family at the LQ. We didn't go against each other at the LQ. It was like the only thing that we don't have now that we had back then is each other. You know, if 20 artists got on stage and performed that night, at the end of the day, when the club is closing, all 20 of those artists that performed was still in the damn club. Nowadays, you put 5 artists on, after they perform, they leave and take their people that came to see them with them. Not the LQ. We stayed from the time that club opened to the time it closed. Sometimes we closed 8, 9 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And, you know, it still be deep in the club. Whenever we close the door, we'll lock the door at 5. Ain't nobody else getting in. But if you already in there, man, the owner already bounced too. Let's keep the party going.
It's 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
So there was never. Now I'm, you know, in the '90s and especially in the arts, like I don't know of any club night existence without the fire marshal coming in to shut shit down. You know, the inspector coming to see. You guys never had those problems whatsoever?
No.
They didn't know you guys existed, or?
Oh, they knew we existed. We were right in the middle of Times Square. You couldn't help but notice us.
So who'd you know?
Well, we had plenty of police on our payroll.
Nice.
We had 6 undercover cops as security and a whole bunch more. And we had Mike Goldberg, who was such a brilliant businessman. I love that dude. And he gave a 19-year-old the keys to the club, bro. Could you imagine?
You were 19 at the time?
I was 19 years old when I started running Latin Quarter.
Did you have any experience whatsoever in terms of negotiating or any of those things?
Yeah, I used to be a street DJ. I was a hustler. I'm from Highbridge. You know what I'm saying? I was a pool shark.
But Latin Quarter
But I was hanging out way before Latin Quarter. I was learning from Sal Abatella at the Disco Fever. I'm watching him. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to Junebug and Curtis Blow and all of them. I'm learning from Russell Simmons. You know, I'm working with Russell Simmons, Rush Productions, and Def Jam since 1983. You know, I'm in the studio with Run DMC, Curtis Blow, LL Cool J. I'm watching all of these things get created, and I'm learning every step of the way. I had Pete DJ Jones, who owned a bar 1 block from my crib. I'm learning from him when I'm 7, 8 years old. I'm 12 years old. I'm DJing in the bar.
So can you tell me what the general modus operandi or just the general operation of what it takes to keep that operation going on your nights in terms of what you're doing from Saturday to Thursday night, like flyers, calls, managers, money?
I never dealt with managers. I never dealt with promoters. I never dealt with booking agents. All of the artists hang out with me. Before Latin Quarters, I was like the hip-hop concierge of New York.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? On a Friday, Saturday night, I'm hanging with Curtis Blow, Orange Juice Jones, Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Houdini. All these people are calling me, yo, Dice, where the party at? I be like, hold on, let me see. Oh, tonight it's popping at the Fun House. I'll go to the club early, let them know who I got coming later. And when they come.
So you go to other bars and lure them?
Yep.
So there was no like calling Cara Lewis or any...
Nah, we didn't do none of that. We dealt directly with the artists. They didn't have to pay no manager. They didn't have to pay no booking agent. And like, you're already hanging out at the club, right? You drinking, you got a girl, you want to go to the hotel. You roll up, hey, yo, Dice, would you put me on? I'll be like, all right.
And it was just like easy as that?
I go to Mike Goldberg and say, yo, Mike, Just Dice want to rock. He's like, cool. I was like, let's give him 800. He'd be like, okay. No hotel, no limo. No, he's right here, right now. Here, go ahead. Boom.
What's
So we didn't really even have to book artists. They already was in the club. You know, and then you couldn't touch us. You show up Friday or Saturday, Mike Tyson's hanging out, Bobby Brown's in there hanging out. The Cosby kids are in there hanging out.
Yeah, he talked
you know,
about it too.
Chris Rock's in there hanging out. You know, and every major and independent artist in New York is there. There was no place else to be.
Yeah, I think on this show, Paradise, you should know that I think, where are we at, 20 guests? At least 20 guests on this podcast alone have told Latin Quarter stories. And most of those people that you've already named.
I got one that y'all haven't spoken to. Who was the coat check girl?
Heather?
We
Heather
did.
Hunter.
Yeah.
She lived there.
What?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
told
my
us.
girl.
Matter
That's
of
my
fact,
boo.
she
Yeah.
might have kickstarted.
She was one of the early. Yeah.
She might have kickstarted.
She told us she
the
lived
Latin Quarter
there. And
story.
we were like, what?
Yep.
You lived in the Latin Quarter?
Yeah, she literally lived in the Latin
homeless.
Quarter.
And she was homeless, and she used to sneak in the club, but I just let her in anyway. And here's something that most people didn't know. At the time she was homeless, she was in a art program in the village for homeless youth. And her teacher and mentor was Keith Haring.
What? What?
Crack is
And
whack.
to this day,
She didn't tell me that.
What?
Heather's art
Yes.
is better than Keith Haring.
Dude, her entire apartment is just like a bunch of sculptures.
I thought she was a photographer. I didn't even
That
know.
too. She's a sculptor and a painter. And her paintings, you could tell they have Keith Haring influence, but they just so more alive and compelling.
Her apartment's damn near a museum, yo.
You know?
Just nothing but just
Yep.
murals and sculptures and all those things.
So you had no idea, fast forward, that what she was going to evolve into in the...
I had a little bit of a clue.
Okay, all right. Okay.
She was good with coats also.
Yo, I wanted to ask you about X Clan, man.
Yeah.
And like how y'all formed.
At Latin Quarters.
Really?
Yeah.
So Brother J and Professor X.
So
they
you guys
wasn't
were just
around?
regular dressing cats, and then you
Yeah,
formed
right.
a Latin-
I was never no regular dressing dude. Flip through that book.
I'm looking.
I
Well,
was
you
the-
guys went through a streetwear that morphed into.
You see the cover?
Yes.
That's me.
Then I know this. Then you morphed into.
Let me see.
I would say morphed into Dapper Danism. But yeah, I do want to know.
And now the crystals
where
and the stones. Yeah.
Yeah, now you're in your shaman phase, which is
You know?
which is awesome. Yeah, but how did the band formed?
I was working at the Latin Quarter.
Okay.
And Lumumba, Professor X, the overseer, a.k.a. Lumumba Carson, he called Heidi Smith from Rush Productions earlier in the day, and he asked her if he could get some of their groups to perform at a fundraiser for an anti-drug concert in Brooklyn. And she was like, no, we don't do that kind of thing. You know, he's like, really? She was like, yeah, you need to find artists who are more young and independent, you know, because our artists do concert series and we don't do charity like that. We don't do that.
And drugs.
So she said, I'll tell you what, go to Latin Quarters and see Paradise. He knows all the new artists and he'll probably be able to help you put a show together. And she called me, put him on the guest list, and he showed up one day, and I let him in free, and he wound up becoming my partner because he talked to me, he saw the energy that we had at the club, and I helped him do an event in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, and I brought half the artists from the Latin Quarter to the park, including Stetsasonic and Ultramagnetic, Boogie Down Productions. It was crazy. We had like 40, 50,000 people show up in the park. No violence. And we tore it down and raised a whole bunch of money for the anti-crack organization that we was working with. And from that moment, he was like, Paradise, if we could bring this youthful energy to my father's movement, we could change everything. And I was like, yeah, whatever. We're going to make money? He was like, I hope so. I'm like, cool. So he took me to the Slave Theater on Fulton Street in Bed-Stuy. And Al Sharpton, Reverend Al Sharpton used to own that theater and do rallies there.
Okay.
So the day I went to meet his father, Sonny Carson, they were doing a rally there. And I walked through the door, and I thought I had stepped into a time machine or a Saturday Night Live skit. Because all the elders was in there. They had big silver afros, and they was wearing dashikis. And here I am. I got hazel contact lenses, jerry curls, diamond rings. I got a fur coat on. I got a big fur coat on, a Louis Vuitton tam, a Louis Vuitton sweater.
Lord.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had some brown shark skin suit pants, you know? So I go in there and I'm looking at them like they was in costumes. I'm all costumed out myself, right? Lumumba takes me over to introduce me to his father. He says, Brother Sonny, this is my homeboy Paradise I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny stares at me without saying nothing, looks me in my eyes, then he follows down head to toe, and then he looks at me and says, what kind of name is Paradise for a nigga? I said, well, actually, it's not a name. It's an invocation of my goals. I'm trying to achieve paradise in my life, so every time someone says that name, it reminds me of my goals. He smiled, did a deep laugh. He said, oh, you're a smart nigga too, huh? I'll tell you what. You see that door that you walked in? If I was you, I'd walk out that door fast as I came in here, because if you stick around here, we're going to mess up everything you think you know. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah. I was like, I think I'll stick around for a minute. And he smiled at me and gave me this deep belly laugh. Sonny Carson had Mufasa's voice. You know what I'm saying? When Sonny speak, you know, the police and anybody else do that. Ooh. Sonny Carson was no joke, baby. Rest in peace, my elder.
I literally didn't know that was his son.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now it makes sense.
Yeah, Sonny Carson, Lumumba Carson.
Was he right about what your life and how you should have walked out? Did it change?
Hell yeah. And the beautiful thing about it is him or the elders never mentioned my hazel contacts. They never mentioned my golden diamonds or the flamboyant way I dress. They just responded to my intelligence and my promotion and marketing skills. And they just taught me who I was. So I got rid of the costume on my own. I didn't need it anymore.
How did Brother Jay? He was just one of my favorite MCs, man. He had just that voice.
No, it's so.
Yeah. Working on the first album, man. Like, how did that come about?
Sugar Shaft used to be one of the violators.
Okay.
He used to hang with Chris Lighty and them dudes with Red Alert, and he was one of the guys that would carry red crates of records from the radio station to the Latin Quarter. One day, he was on the subway, the 2 train, going to Brooklyn, and I was on the same train. We got off the train at the same stop. We looked at each other. I was like, "Yeah, where you live?" He said, "I live right around the corner." I said, "Yeah, I live right here." So he stopped going to the Latin Quarter with Red Alert, started riding with me. And we became really good friends. And he kept telling me about his homeboy, Brother Jay, who was really good as a rapper and all this. Now, I really wasn't working with artists on that level anymore, developing them. But him and Sugar Shaft was like 17 years old. Wow. And I kind of let them hang with me.
Wait, he was 17 with that voice?
Brother Jay.
Motherfucker sounded like my dad.
Wrote To The East Blackwards when he was 17 years old.
That's
and
crazy.
spit it when he was 18. How about that?
Wow.
So when people make excuses and say, dudes are young, and I know.
But that's like with X-Clan to me, I just looked at him like, oh, okay, 40-year-old people
Yeah, they
can
was
rap.
old. They was old. They was.
Y'all just look like my cool ass uncles.
Professor X was probably your cool ass uncle.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He was
But
older
it's just
than
the
us.
authority.
Yeah,
of,
nah,
you
yeah,
know, and all
very
that stuff.
authoritative.
I didn't think I was
Yeah.
older than
Smart
one of
brother
y'all.
to the
Damn.
east.
Yeah.
Brother to the east, my brother.
Definitely. Brother Jay and Sugar Shaft were my little brothers.
Okay, since you mention it, now one of our most infamous Latin Quarter guests, MC Serch.
Oh, get the
Okay.
okay.
You still searching for that guy? Where you go?
Oh,
Look,
because you got
no
the show
smoke.
with the
Right.
so-
But wait. But no. But this also involves Pete as well, because it just hit me when I brought the EP, the Cactus EP.
Mm-hmm.
3 Strikes 5,000 there were some shots fired at the X-Clan organization. And then, of course, I forget the song where you guys start with Pop Goes the Weasel.
Oh, yeah.
What was the unspoken, indirect, non-passive aggressive shots fired between those clans? And I guess also, if you want
It's
to add
a
it,
thin line between love and hate.
but also today when I was listening to Sex and Violence, KRS-One's joint, there were some shots fired there too.
Oh, yeah.
So wait,
Build
what
and
happened
destroy,
between? What was going
Well,
on? Because it wasn't
let
a
me
beef that was
start
major.
with the relationship
But I heard some
between
shots.
Third Base and X-Clan first. Okay. When I first met Prime Minister Pete Nice, he was 17 years old. And he was going to Boys and Girls High School, and he was managed by a gentleman named Robert Lumumba Carson, Professor X before X-Clan.
Really?
And he was in a group called Sin Qua Non.
Prison High?
Right. And then once Professor X met me, now he had access to KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Just Dice. He neglected the groups he already was managing, right? Which Pete Nice was one of them. So MC Serch was hanging at the Latin Quarter with me. And Pete Nice came to the Latin Quarter with Professor X. So Pete got frustrated because they didn't get any run or no focus. So Pete went to Lumumba and said, hey, Def Jam is interested in signing me. If you're not going to do nothing with me, could you release me? And Professor X laughed him out the door and released him. Def Jam's going to sign you. And Russell pulled the Beastie Boys 2.0. He took 2 independent artists that they were interested in and created Third Base. And Serch was a cool dude, but he exaggerated a lot. And he was very popular at Latin Quarter,
Okay.
but he was not popular at Latin Quarter for rapping.
Okay.
He got popular at Latin
As a
Quarter.
dancer?
No,
Oh.
as
not
a
e-
joke. Me and Red Alert and Bismarck, he would snap on each other to warm the crowd up. And there was this real fat 6'3" dude in the crowd that I called him Heavy, right? This dude was like butter and ice on the dance floor. He was so big, but he was so smooth. And so I would always pull him up on the stage to warm the crowd up. And while he would dance, Red Alert would play some joints, and I'd be like, go fat boy, go fat boy. And the whole crowd would be screaming, go fat boy, go fat boy. Mm-hmm. And MC Serch came running, Dice, can I go? I was like, oh, God, here we go. Because MC Serch thought he could dance, but he had 2 left feet. He was our dude. He was a great guy, but he could not dance.
He couldn't dance like Stretch?
Hell no. He would try, and we would just...
I mean, I see him do the Running Man and the Kiki, Big Daddy Kane thing. Okay. Look, I'm trying to be Switzerland here.
Right, I feel you. I mean, I'm working on it myself.
I got love for Serch, and I got love for Pete Nice as well.
Latin Quarter was where brothers was dancing in that club.
Okay.
Dude, you're not their level, period, ever. So he would run on stage, and Red would play Do the James, and I would go white boy, go, and the crowd would go crazy, and they loved him.
And back then, it was a novelty to see the white guy with rhythm. Right. So he took advantage of that. Okay.
Right.
I see.
Greatly.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
But then as he became third base, he seemed like he was trying to be a brother, and he was going too far with it as far as we was concerned. Like when the camera zoomed up to the back of his head, and he turned around like, it's the other man. It was like, what? What are you talking about, dude? Like, what are you doing? You know, so he was the ultimate culture vulture. But he was accepted because he hung out with us, and we accepted him hanging with us, you know? Then he did the group with, wound up being our good friend, MF Doom. Oh. And the logo was a coon face, and we didn't like that.
Oh, KMD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of cultural problems that we was having problems with.
I was trying to hoping to get the story of Melle Mel and the push-ups or the sit-ups.
Melle Mel was the Debo of the Latin Quarter. He was the filter. That's what I called him. If you got on stage and you was whack, Melle Mel was Sandman.
Really?
Self-appointed Sandman. Him and Busy B were the most arrogant dudes ever. They would come in the club throwing elbows at dudes. Get out the way, the champs is here, Ain't none of y'all getting no money tonight, and y'all ain't getting no pussy tonight, because the champs is here. And you be on stage rocking, all of a sudden you hear the crowd going crazy. You like, oh, I'm doing it tonight. And then you take a look to the side, and Melle Mel standing there with his shirt off. Muscle Simmons in his full glory. Then he started doing push-ups real quick while you trying to do a show. You like,
So he's working out on the side of the stage?
No, on the stage. He's on the stage with you now, doing 50 push-ups.
Are you allowed to name some of the artists that he disrespected?
Who remembers them?
Wait, so were there some artists that performed?
You never heard of them again. They disappeared.
You
He
sure?
ate them.
All right.
And so he jumped on his feet, snatched the mic, and said, Red Alert, put on some real hip-hop. I'm tired of this bullshit. And then he would rock the house.
And never cause a fight. Nobody ever wanted to fight him after they...
I'm
just, somebody think they a tough...
Man.
I got a knife, so he got muscles before it.
It was only a couple of dudes that had the balls or the size to deal with Melle Mel.
Okay.
Just Ice and King Son. They could handle him physically, but ain't nobody wanted to try that. Plus, he's the GOAT. It's Grandmaster Melle Mel. A child is born.
Damn.
You ain't got no wins there until one day, Melle Mel jumped on the stage with that braggadocious, I got $500. Anybody in here want it? Come get it right now. All y'all. He looking at Run DMC and LL and all them like, and then you heard the crowd go crazy. And you look, and KRS-One was standing there like this.
Okay.
Now, It already was some friction between the last generation and the new generation.
Yes, yeah.
The first shots across the bow that was successful was none other than LL Cool J. LL was not having it. Kool Mo D, Ice-T, whoever. He was not intimidated. And if you went at LL, he coming back at you. The first shots across the old school bow was by LL Cool J. So he got it right here. It was right here, and it was bubbling. And then KRS-One dropped the nail in the coffin. And
what happened that night? Like, can you describe, like,
well,
was it a song? Was it a verse?
No.
How did they battle?
I handed KRS-One the mic, and KRS-One did a freestyle. First he dissed everybody in the club that he had beef with. He dissed about 4 people before going at Mel. Roxanne Shante. He went at MC Shan, of course.
Right.
Kool G Rap even. You know, I'm a professional. This is not a demo. Chris threw a bunch of shots across the
Oh, no.
Right.
I didn't even catch that. I am a professional. This is not.
It's a demo. It's a demo. It's a demo. It's a demo.
I'm just catching that.
See what I'm saying? So Chris was already set up to be that next dude because he had just smashed Shan, which was difficult to do because Shan was as popular as LL back in them days. Shan was not no easy nut to crack. You know what I'm saying? Shan was highly respected. And so KRS-One did a freestyle. He went at Mel, and then he said, "Hey, yo, who won this battle?" and dropped the mic. And the crowd went crazy. And Melle Mel, he was so angry, the crowd was like going for KRS-One, and he didn't even rhyme yet. He started jumping up and down. "It's not fair. I didn't get to go yet. I didn't get to go." I said, "Come on, y'all. This is Melle Mel. You got to at least let the man spit." Melle Mel dug in that brilliant brain of his and came out with one of the dopest rhymes I ever heard. He was talking about spaceships and battling aliens and molecules and scientific facts, and he killed it. But the crowd was like, "No, boo!" And some people cheered him, but KRS-One won the day. And from that day on, things started changing. You know, Big Daddy Kane got really ridiculous in there. Rakim came out of nowhere on him. Check out my melody. You know, Eric B for president. Red Alert was banging that like over and over. It was a new day.
Well, okay. So what are the other 3 that you can name?
Other 3 that got dissed by Melle Mel?
No. The other 3 like life-changing performances that happened at the
Big
LQ.
Daddy Kane, man. Big Daddy Kane. When he first came out with Scoob and Scrap, he changed the game, bro. It was just amazing. Heavy D and the Boyz. Woo! When they rocked Mr. Big Stuff at Latin Quarters, forget about it.
Really?
Yeah, man. Stetsasonic performed with my man Bobby Simmons with the live drums.
Live drums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was crazy. I mean, it was just so many amazing performances. Special Ed. You know, EPMD, bro. Oh, my God. They used to tear the Latin Quarter down. And then, out of nowhere, came the Native Tongues. The Tribe Called Quest, the Jungle Brothers, De La Soul.
So that could fly there?
Moni Love. It was born there.
Okay, I'm only asking that because it seems to me that the Latin Quarter seems more
hard
of the
the
Dapper Dan variety, and then suddenly here comes like
no backpackers.
Yeah, like I would figure like they were the nerds and dweebs of.
Me too.
So they were welcome with.
Yeah, because they were already people who hung out at the Latin Quarters. 90% of the artists that broke in Latin Quarters was always in the crowd. Kid and Play was in the crowd at Latin Quarters. Their name was the Fresh Force. Kid Cool Out and Playboy. And they had a song called Rock Me, off of Rock Me Amadeus.
I was going to say, please don't say Amadeus. Then you're like,
yeah, they sampled Rock Me and did a song off of Rock Me Amadeus. And they had another song called She's a Skeezer. That sounded
which is
like
what
my Adidas.
Okay.
She's
Wow.
a skeezer
Posh told me about that. Okay.
with the same beat.
For 3 days later.
Yeah. But then they saw the IOU and the JAC dancers. They changed their hairstyles. They changed the way that they dress. And somehow the dance that was being done at the Latin Quarters became the Kid and Play kick step.
So all those dances were born there. We're talking about like the Steve Martin, the Bismarck,
yeah, the WAP. Oh my God. Dude used to kill when he performed. You know who else killed at Latin Quarters?
Who?
Schoolie D.
I bet.
Really?
Yes. And remember, this was New Jack City, New York.
Okay.
You know? This was around the time of Larry Davis and the Central Park Five and Yusef Hawkins murder. So there was a tension in the young black people at the time also. And we were angry at a lot. You know, apartheid was going on. Nelson Mandela was still in jail. You know what I'm saying? So there was a consciousness that took over the club because the Zulu Nation and the beginnings of the Black Watch movement and the 5% Nation was heavy in the club. So we was all about the fifth element, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. At the same time, we was creating this music.
So that is official. I was wondering, when you look up hip hop sometimes, okay, the fifth element is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All right.
Okay.
I feel like it came much later.
Can you? All right. Since the sound system was ungodly,
Yes.
what did you guys think when y'all first heard "Rebel Without a Pause"? Because I heard it 2 a.m. on a radio with the volume down, and of course, like I'm talking about clock radio. I can't imagine what it is to hear this tea kettle noise of Public Enemy,
Dude,
going off
that
ungodly.
That song saved Public Enemy's career because Public Enemy got booed off the stage at Latin Quarters and their first show. Grandmaster Melle Mel,
He was on the side doing push-ups.
no. He couldn't get to the stage, but he was in the crowd heckling them the whole time. That shit ain't hip hop. They on stage with Uzis and shit. We trying to stop the violence. What is this? Russell Simmons, you need to sign Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Put all this bullshit on stage. Da 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 da.
So you
I
just-
had to literally pull Melle Mel off the dance floor and explain to him what the S1Ws were and why they had the plastic Uzis. But then they came later with Rebel Without a Pause. And guess what it was? A hip-hop dance classic. You put that record on, the IOU and the JAC dancers break their necks in that club off it. And that inspired Chuck to step up the tempo, and he realized as you get up and dance at the LQ.
Right. I get it. I see it now. I see it now. I see it now. So the next question I want to know is, why did it end so early?
Money. Location. It was sitting on that property that was way too valuable for them to keep just letting us little nigglets have.
Ain't been a black club there since.
Yeah, exactly. So they built a hotel.
Right. Oh, which one?
It's the
That's
Renaissance.
the double trip.
The
Oh, okay.
Renaissance.
The Renaissance.
The Union Square Club had closed. So all the crazy ass Brooklyn niggas ain't have nowhere to hang out no more. So they came uptown to the Latin Quarters and they turned the Latin Quarters into the OK Corral.
All right? So is the myth of Brooklyn real? I.e., like, we just want to party and here come Brooklyn wilding out again.
Hell yeah, that shit was true. Because it wasn't just Go Stetsa that set them off. That was the second song. There was another song that was more of a trigger than that.
Which was
Brooklyn's in the house.
by DC.
Cutmaster DC.
DC.
Oh, yeah.
Brooklyn, Funk Funky Fresh.
Brooklyn, Funk Funky Fresh.
So any Brooklyn song is just going to.
It's triggered. It's 50 Cent and the Supreme team and the Hollis crew and a whole powder keg of different.
So they were all paid to get in.
Yeah, they were
To
paid to get
just yoke and steel chains and?
No, well, at first, I mean, it took a while because 50 would come to me. He respected me, and I would let them in free, give them drink tickets, treat them like they were stars too.
Can you explain who 50 was? And no, we're not talking about Curtis Jackson.
Nah, he was a little gangster ass thug from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Who was one of the original knuckleheads that he had no respect for nobody, not even himself. And he would come to the club with 2 guns and a bulletproof vest on. I would let him keep the vest.
Y'all would let him in?
I would, look, put it this way.
Okay, right.
If you let him in, he could control the other ones that's lesser than him. So instead of going wild, now they had something to lose.
Yeah.
Now they had status. And
Organized,
now
yeah.
they wouldn't just run up on somebody and rob them. They would come to me first and be like, yo, Dice, is that your man? And I'd be like, yeah. Damn, man, tell him he can't be coming up in here like that, man.
Organized crime.
And I would be
Okay,
real.
what would a walking target look like?
LL Cool J.
Tell me the story.
Jam Master J.
I heard that story about dragging on the floor, but he held on to the chain, I heard.
Now, he didn't drag the floor. His chain is solid. It don't have no clasp. Jam Master J had the best chain in hip-hop.
But Run DMC
heavy.
wasn't like royalty, like untouchable?
Shit.
Or is it like, we got to test you,
Jam
the bigger you
Master
are?
J had the Hollis crew with him. Hurricane and about 20, 25 other ones. So it was the first time it was an even match. Dude, 50 tried to snatch Jay's chain. It don't pop. Jay went with the chain, and Jay is no slouch.
Right.
Right? I went out and pulled Jay out of the melee, and he literally fought me. And when I looked in his face, he said, yo, Dice, my people is out there. I let him go. He went right back out there. You know, who am I to tell him? You know what I mean? But, Jam Master Jay, let me say something about him. He was the most humble and wonderful human being ever. Mm-hmm. You know, you go to the club, Jay would be at a club, no security, no homeboys. He'd be out on tour, you find Jam Master Jay with a 40 in the hood, in the projects, 4 o'clock in the morning, smoking and drinking and telling stories and jokes with dudes he don't even know. And he had the total hood pass because he was Jam Master Jay. He was that dope.
Yeah.
He taught me how to act once I became popular.
Can we talk about the Hip Hop Museum?
Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
So,
yes, we
okay,
can.
so now I'm told that you were collecting artifacts and whatnot since 79.
78.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how did you know?
I was a kid.
How did you know instantly? I should
didn't
keep
know
this.
instantly,
I should
but
keep this.
my brother Michael Green, Coach Green, he was a baseball and football coach at DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx. And my brother was 4 years older than me, and he did everything to influence me. I didn't respect or understand my brother when I was young because he wasn't a fighter. I had to fight every day. But as I got older, everything I do and everything I know really came from my brother. A photographer, a writer, an artist, an illustrator. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, he collected stamps and coins. I wasn't into that. Like, get out of here with that.
Okay.
Then he started collecting baseball cards, football cards, and comic books. Mm-hmm. That's when I lost my mind, you know, because I was an avid reader. And comic book collectors and comic book readers, it's like oil and water. We really didn't mix. So I started collecting my own comics. Mm-hmm. And then here comes hip-hop flyers. Grandmaster Flash, Kool DJ Herc, the Herculords, you know, Grand Wizard Theodore. It was like walking Marvel heroes in my hood.
Who were doing those flyers? Like, was there
Buddy Esquire, a whole bunch of good Phase 2. Buddy Esquire and Phase 2 were the 2 most popular ones, but there was a whole host of people making flyers back then, and they were beautiful when the hip-hop universe was like the Marvel and DC universe to me, you know? So they would have cartoon characters. I got a flyer with Iron Man on it, one with Spider-Man on it, one with Muhammad Ali on it, you know, fly girls and nice cars. it was amazing to me. So I kept them. And me and my homeboy Kid Zeke, we started trading with each other, and it just became a thing in my hood that we would collect hip-hop flyers, and later on it became everything with hip-hop on it. Yo MTV rap cards, you know what I'm saying? Magazines, Yo, Rap Masters, The Source, Double XL. If it had anything about hip-hop, I was hip-hop's biggest fan. I want it.
So were you just naturally a pop culture junkie that just, like I'm collecting stuff now. I don't know why I'm collecting it. I'm not saying to myself like, okay, one day I'm gonna have a museum. But like now, I mean, I'm going hard on. Right. I went hard on Herc's auction. Like now we're seeing the auction stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, I'm doing it. I guess I figured like, okay, maybe when I'm 60 or 70, I'll have these artifacts to pass on to a museum or that sort of thing. In your mind, are you saying like one day I'm gonna open up the hip hop museum and I'm having these artifacts there?
No, I didn't even consider that. I just knew what I liked and I loved, and I just catered to myself. I love myself, so I tried to surround myself with beautiful things and things that make me feel good. I was a little ashy-skinned, nappy-headed, dark-skinned kid in the South Bronx with holes in the bottom of my shoe, and hip-hop gave me my self-esteem.
How do you preserve everything through the years with all the floods and robberies and everything that everybody goes through with moving 100 times?
I never had a flood. I never got robbed. My dad still lived in the same apartment that we lived in since 1980.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there's the answer there, right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn. Okay.
So we had stability.
So let me know what
closet space.
Okay, now I'm gonna really ask the question that I always ask and no one answers.
Yeah.
You're given 1 minute to grab 3 artifacts, and the rest you'll never see again. What 3 things are you grabbing?
My original crown that I created, the first crown of X-Clan. My wooden stick that I carved with a lion's face in the middle of a morph between a lion and a man. That staff is called the Iron Lion Zion.
You made that staff?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You carved too?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's why they call me the architect, baby.
I
Paradise
now see
the
that.
architect.
I see that.
You know,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you have dreams to be an actual architect in terms
I went
of...
to Brooklyn Tech to be an architect.
Okay.
Wow.
And I dropped out in the 10th grade because I couldn't go through high school with holes in my shit like I did junior high. My parents are from the South. My dad, I told him what I wanted, and he said, hey, he walked me to the front door and said, everything you want is right outside this door. Everything you need, I got it in here. Go get what you want. So I said, okay, I'm going to go get it. I went and I dropped out of high school, and within 2 years, I was making more money than my mother and my father combined legally.
Well, we're from in the South. Where are your parents from?
Where?
North Carolina.
What city?
I was born in a little town called Washington, North Carolina.
What?
Is that next door
Little
to you?
Washington.
Yeah,
Little
I was born
Washington.
in Little Washington.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I grew up in Fayetteville. I mean, I lived all over North Carolina. Fayetteville, Red Springs, Robertson County. Grew up in Greensboro. Live in Raleigh, but nah, man, that's so dope. I had homies from Little Washington.
So I was born in 1964 in North Carolina, Freedom Summer. And my mother decided when I was 4 years old that she didn't want me, my brother and sister to grow up picking cotton and tobacco. So she followed her sister Helen, my aunt, to Harlem, and she stayed in Harlem with my aunt and sent me, my brother and sister, to live in the Bronxdale projects with my aunt's daughter, her niece, Susie Davis. And my little cousin who lived with us in Disco King Mario's building, his name is Aaron Davis. He wound up becoming the welterweight champion of the world, Aaron Superman Davis.
Okay.
Well, I love hip-hop and sports. I think hip-hop was a sport to us, too.
It is.
You know what I
And
mean?
surviving it is key.
another sport.
Wait, you didn't name the third thing, the third artifact that you received.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
that first flyer with the first time hip hop's mentioned on it's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, but
There's more important things.
yeah.
Okay, well, record-wise.
I'm just saying.
Record-wise,
you talking about things that I own or
well,
hypothetically?
things that, I mean, like treasures. I mean,
Dude, I have so much in my collection. I'm not Bismarck status with my collection, but the hip hop part of my collection is bigger than business hip hop collection.
see, he's the one that got me into. When I saw business stuff, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Spend my money. You got to spend your money on something. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Historical artifact wise, what do you have? Jeff just shared with me that he has the records from Grandmaster Flash used in Wild Style.
Dope.
The Bob
I still
James
have a bunch of my original crates that I DJed with since the 70s in the Bronx. I still have my original vinyl on my break beats.
Okay.
You know, I have the big red, black, and green flag that X-Clan used to perform with and that we used to march in the streets of Brooklyn with Sonny Carson with. You know, I have a cutout of the Nas Pharaoh head.
From I Am? Oh, the
Yeah.
I Am record cup. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I have the cutout of Master P.
What?
You know, I've got the Master P doll that goes,
Nah. Right, okay.
You know, I got so much artifacts, bro.
So before we wrap, I do want to know, when do you feel as though the museum will have its grand opening?
Fourth quarter 2024, first quarter 2025.
And the location?
Right where it is, right in the Boogie Down Bronx, 149th Street in Bronx Point, baby. Right on the Harlem River.
There you go.
500 square feet.
Yeah.
500 square feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
550,000. What am I talking
I'm
about?
about to say, yeah, I need it bigger than
One
that.
day, one day we'll have a.
Yeah, 500 square feet is the pop-up.
Right.
That's what's up. Well, brother, this has been long overdue.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you for everything.
sharing with
Sorry
us.
we didn't have more time. And, you know, I didn't really get to tell y'all no stories.
No, I know, right? That's crazy. Happen like this.
But it's all good.
No, this is beautiful,
Yes,
man. And we thank
man.
you for coming on the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure, good brother. You
Thank
know
you.
what I mean?
Thank you for everything.
It's a long time coming.
Yeah,
So on
yeah.
behalf of Fontiglo, Unpaid Bill, Sugar Steve, and Light Ear, this is Questlove. This is great Paradise Gray.
Yeah.
Support hip hop culture. Collect your artifacts. Don't dispose of things that you don't know will be, one man's trash is next man's treasure.
Oh, yeah.
Keep telling the history.
Yes, and share stories
And keep
share
building
history.
the history, because while it's good that we celebrated the 50th anniversary of hip-hop,
Make history.
now it's our time to plot the next 50 years of hip-hop.
There you go.
And to support young artists with the real support that we need to give them. And we need to stop being the old man sitting on the porch telling them to get off our lawn. Hip-hop was created by children, and children will always rule hip-hop.
Okay.
So if you're old and you feel like, I can't understand what they're saying, well, maybe they're not talking to your ass.
Ooh.
Mic drop.
Boom.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, Paradise Gray. All right, we'll see y'all next go round. Thank you. Thank you, guys.